This week we are talking about Henry Cavill's Superman, director's cuts being all the rage, new video game adaptations, and our first impressions of Space Force, and much more on your Herd with Nerds.
Welcome on into the podcast. I'm Brett.
I'm Dorian.
And we got some nerd news for you.
Whole bunch of it, in fact.
Yeah, this week was not as slow as last week. That is for certain.
No, not at all.
So we're talking Henry Cavil. Okay, So this guy has been in many roles over the last decade. The most notable being Witcher. You know, that's probably his most recent one. But along those 10 years, basically, he has had one character that he has really dominated, and that's Superman.
Right, yeah. No, I think a lot of people know him as Superman, and like he wasn't even a blip on my radar until he started playing Superman.
Right, yeah, that was definitely his breakout role, I think. And if you see him in any movie, it was like, oh, that's Superman, not, oh, that's Henry Cavil.
Right, exactly, yeah.
That's Superman.
I mean, you know, and for all the criticism that people give Henry Cavil, I mean, the guy looks like Superman.
Yeah, he is Superman, essentially. Yeah. So we've talked about rumors in the past of him potentially being tied back into the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe, and they've come out and pretty much and confirmed, the studio has, and said, yeah, Henry's coming back.
Yeah.
Now that isn't going to be right away into a Man of Steel 2. That has not been confirmed. My guess right now is that it's going to be for Shazam 2.
That seems like a pretty good fit, seeing how, for starters, there was the Easter egg of Superman at the end of Shazam, but also just the fact that Shazam was initially created as a rival to Superman from a different company, and then DC bought them out. Yeah. And all that business here. So, no, it makes sense. You know, I mean, there's quite a few projects that he could potentially be tied to. Aquaman 2.
Yeah, that could be.
That could be one.
Those are really the only ones I feel like make sense. I don't even know where Flash is at in production anymore.
Right. I mean, I would imagine maybe like there might be something going on with Flash potentially, but I mean, again, we don't even know what the status of that movie is, like other than like what the director said about a couple of months ago that it was going to be happening in 2021, I think, or something. But that was before COVID. That was before any of the controversy with Ezra Miller happened. So hard to say.
Yeah, right now. So all we know is he's slated to come back officially. Right. So, and part of that being, you know, he's been pretty tied to these movies still. Like we talked about this, you know, the Snyder Cut being a thing now last week.
Yeah.
And he was a big part of that. He was a big advocate of that, which is sure, go for it, buddy. But you know, which in my mind was like, well, I don't think he'd be doing this press and all this stuff if he wasn't still tied to the role.
Yeah.
Like I guess Ben Affleck's still supporting, and he's not Batman anymore, but
right, yeah,
that we know of.
Yeah, I mean,
who knows?
I mean, because that's the weird thing is like, I mean, technically, I mean, like all the signs point to Ben Affleck leaving the DCEU. However, the thing is like there was never like an official like statement or word. It just kind of happened almost for the most part. Like basically he was supposed to be starring in the Batman. It was supposed to be about his Batman from the DCEU. That's no longer really a thing anymore. Yeah. It's Robert Pattinson taking over. So yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't seem like he's coming back, but I mean, there's really hasn't been like a complete like official like, hey, I am never returning for any future DC products, blah blah blah. I hate these guys, they can go on without me, or something along those lines, you know.
Yeah, so the Snyder Cut is officially happening. We've talked about that. More details have come out on that. So it's going to cost $30 million to finish this.
So
that's a movie.
Yeah, like a low budget movie, yeah.
But like what, like $30 million just for a cut of the movie? Like, give me a break.
Well, especially considering how like this, like I don't know, like how different or like how much more footage is going to be in the Snyder Cut, because like is it half the movie? Is it like a third? 25%? Nobody seems to really know for certain here.
For $30 million, I feel like it's got to be quite a bit to finish up.
Right. And I mean, so, I mean, I guess I could maybe understand like post-production stuff and like all that. And that's basically what they said is like, it's not going to be, the cast coming back to do some scenes and like, re-record dialogue or any of that stuff. I mean, that'd be probably super hard to do after like 3 years. You'd be like, okay, he
looks a little different.
Yeah, he looks skinnier in this scene than he does in the other scene. But no, so I mean, there's gonna be CGI mostly, I think, and just maybe some touch-ups here and there, and maybe like some scenes that don't involve the main cast to help fill in some blanks potentially. But no, it's it's probably just mostly going to go towards the CGI, just because if you ever seen a Zack Snyder movie,
it's all CGI.
Yeah, pretty much like it's the whole movie is like green screen.
Yeah. So from what I understand, Zack Snyder has confirmed also that Darkseid is going to be a part of this movie.
Right, yeah.
To what capacity, who knows?
I'll bet you anything he's probably just an Easter egg, like at the very end. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like how Thanos was at the end of the very first Avengers movie here.
And for those of you who don't know who Darkseid is, he's essentially the Thanos of the DC universe.
More or less, yeah.
Little different as far as powers and all that, but he's like this ultra powerful being that the Justice League constantly is fighting.
Right. No, he's essentially like he serves the same role as Thanos, just only for the DC universe. But yeah, which I mean, so I guess this kind of answers the question of why this isn't coming out till 2021 is because they still got to do all the post-production stuff. And obviously I think COVID probably had an issue with that. Like, the whole working from home situation probably slows things down.
Yeah.
This movie's still going to be garbage. I'm calling it.
Well, that's the thing though. I'm trying to think of it in terms of how they're going to make this $30 million plus like come back into their wallets.
I think it's mostly just a way to get like people to go to HBO Max and like, yeah.
Who's gonna pay that to go see HBO Max?
I don't know, man. I mean, to be honest, I do not know.
Well, in related news, David Ayer's spoken out and said there's a director's cut of the Suicide Squad as well, and it'd be easy to complete. Probably another 30 mil.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, well, David Ayer, I think he did address that whole cost issue about like whether or not it costs like 30 million plus or something like that. And he said, no, it's actually like all the post-production work is pretty much done. It just needs to actually just be re-edited here and then just spliced into the movie for the most part, which, a lot of what he's talking about, just a couple of examples. So there's like more footage of Jared Leto's Joker, which we've always heard that there was a lot of footage that got cut, and some of the best footage, according to Jared Leto, of that of his Joker being cut. There was also like a scene where Enchantress mind controls Katana, and the squad has to fight Katana, and just some other scenes that were like in the trailer that never made it into the final cut of the movie, I guess. But this is kind of interesting just because I always felt like I never really saw enough of Jared Leto's Joker to really like give like a full-on impression of like whether or not I really thought he was like good or okay or just bad or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's like in the movie for like 5 minutes here, and I mean, what I've seen, I wasn't really impressed by, but it was like, okay, you barely gave me anything to really like judge a whole like character as in depth as the Joker is here,
Yeah, I mean, what other films has the Joker been in?
Well, the Joker.
No.
Oh, you're
not
talking about
that Joker.
You're talking about Jared Leto's
Leto's Joker.
None.
Yeah, so like literally we haven't seen him as Joker.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Pretty much. I mean, no, it's like it's
kind of a shame,
Well, right, and it's just so weird, just even having Joker in there as like a side character for the most part. I mean, I get that this was probably more or less an attempt to like say, okay, we're just actually just setting up pieces for like, a Batman and Joker movie, or, Joker to be used further down the line, maybe fighting the Justice League or like Suicide Squad 2 or something of that nature. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally think that that's probably the case. But, I hope this isn't the trend that we're going to see in the future where you get crappy movies remade into less crappy ones.
Yeah, or even more crappier ones, or I don't know. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's like that's their hope, is that they're making these crappy movies just a little less crappy. You can't do a whole lot to those movies to make them amazing.
Well, it's like asking, like, I don't know. It's like getting kicked in the balls and saying, like, hey, could you kick me less hard this next time around here? Well, it's like, it's still gonna suck.
Well, and that's the thing too right now, especially with Suicide Squad and David Ayer. Like, James Gunn's making the Suicide Squad, which is essentially a sequel but also a soft reboot.
Yeah, soft reboot. So I mean, yeah,
let the past die.
Kill it if you have to.
Yep.
But and then it's not in the show notes, but we were talking about it earlier. Apparently, there is a director's cut of the 2015 Fantastic Four movie that was like, apparently, I never saw it. But apparently it was a complete garbage, and people are clamoring for this the the director's cut of that here.
Sure, I'm sure they are.
Which, I mean, it's like, okay, it's like, for starters, why? If we're gonna get like an actual good, at least I'm thinking we are, Fantastic Four movie from the MCU,
right?
In probably the next 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Calm down.
Yeah, I think what people want is, like, think about this, like, if they did I'm trying to equate it to something to where I would actually care about it.
Sure.
Okay. If they redid let's say they're going back to The Last Airbender.
Okay, yeah.
The movie. That movie's straight trash.
Yeah.
Let's say they changed a bunch of stuff because fans were all pissed, and then they went back and they changed everything I hated about the movie.
Yeah.
I would be ecstatic.
Yeah.
Essentially, they ruined a potential 6-movie franchise because after Avatar, you're going to have Korra live action. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Now we're getting the Netflix series, which is super cool, and I'm hoping they do it right.
Yeah. Not for sure.
But it's one of those things where it's like something near and dear to your heart that was just bad, and you just want it to be good.
No, I get that. I get that sentiment. And I mean, yeah, I would say, technically, I guess I would want, like, that kind of treatment or that to happen to, like, BVS, and then
totally
just erase basically everything that happened afterwards and, like, actually give us a competent DCEU movie universe that could actually be just as good, if not better, than Marvel here, And
I would say the DCEU, as it stands now, currently, is way more competent than it was for BVS.
No, it's definitely made some improvements, and it's definitely, I think, has started to find its stride. I still don't think they've really figured out how to do the interconnected universe stuff just quite yet, just because where they've been having the most success is the solo films here. Shazam, pretty much by and large solo film, with the exception of, like, a reference to Batman and Superman, and then the obvious Superman Easter egg at the very end here. But Aquaman, by and large, solo film.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman, by and large, solo film, has, like, maybe 1 or 2 references to, like, something bigger than just her story here. But
right.
Yeah, so I think that's honestly, that's what has been working for them, and I think that's probably what they're going to continue to do for a little while until they actually find their footing or their ground in terms of, like, wanting to do another big team up movie and try to compete with, like, something along the lines of Avengers here.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We have some Sonic news.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is now officially in development, and Jeff Fowler, their director, is back to helm it. No other news beyond that, but I mean, pretty cool. Like, this is a testament to probably something that, where they changed the CGI, made it a lot better, and now it's getting a sequel because of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, if they kept the CGI from the original trailer and all that here, yeah, there's no way this movie would have been nearly as successful as it was here.
No.
I mean, it would be like one of those. It'd be like the Last Airbender, like, one of those movies on, like, how notoriously bad it is here and all that.
Yeah, totally. So Solo 2.
Yeah.
Fans are taking to Twitter with the hashtag make Solo 2 happen.
I mean, a lot of fan-driven decisions in movies these days. It seems like here, a lot of petitioning, a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah, and this is I listened to the podcast that actually started this hashtag, which was
really?
Yeah, Star Wars Newsnet is the website, but it's the Resistance broadcast. They started hashtag make Solo 2 happen.
How long ago did they start this?
2 years ago, I want to say.
Oh, really? When Solo happened or whatever?
Well, let's see. It's 2 years of the hashtag, so last year.
Okay.
Yeah, they started it last year. But I think it was before that. I think it was like shortly after the people started realizing they're probably not going to make a sequel.
Right, yeah.
I think is when they started pushing the envelope of that, but it didn't become a thing until last year when they were around the time of the anniversary of its release. They were pushing this hashtag.
Gotcha.
And apparently, it blew up this time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now that the Snyder Cut's happening, I think this has emboldened people to actually
speak up.
Speak up. Say, hey, we got what we wanted over here. Let's see how far we can go with this here.
Yeah.
So. We've talked about on this podcast, Solo, pretty decent movie.
Yeah,
here.
decent movie.
I think you like it better than I do here, and I'm not really interested in a sequel. I mean, I would probably be more interested in like a sequel series with like Disney Plus here. I think if like you took the Solo storyline and just basically kind of like the same kind of creative team or the same way you do with the Mandalorian, it's just Solo doing like, jobs across the galaxy and like, running into characters and, whatnot. I think that's actually a pretty cool idea for like, a TV show here. But really in all honesty, like the thing I really like most about Solo is like pretty much the stuff at the end where they bring back Darth Maul. You find out Kira, I think that's her name, right?
Yeah, Kira.
She's working with him. And so I was more interested in like the setup of that. And, I want to see actually, a movie be made about what those two are doing here more than anything. But personally, I don't think this is going to happen just because this is Disney.
Yeah,
Disney is no Warner Brothers here, I mean, you didn't get Last Jedi remade like you petitioned to here.
I mean, I think that's a little bit different. Like they're not going to remake a movie. There's no chance Disney's doing that.
Sure.
But I do think if they make enough noise and the fans are about it, Solo 2 could potentially happen. Like you're saying, Disney Plus. There's a lot of different avenues they could go, and they're all contracted for multiple movies.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with whatever they do. If they don't do it, fine. If they do it, cool.
Yeah.
But like you said, have it really incorporate Kira and Maul as part of the series. Obviously, if it's a Solo series, you have to have Han and Chewie.
You have to, obviously. And probably have a cameo every now and again from Lando or a Lando episode or something along those lines. But no, I think here's the thing. If we have Solo come to Disney Plus, I could see that happening.
Totally.
I realistically, I can see that happening just because Disney Plus needs to build up its content, and what better way to do that than like having a Solo show. That being said, I don't think there's any chance that it's going to get an actual sequel movie just because the majority already spoke with their wallet on this movie. It was like the lowest performing Star Wars movie in like recent history here.
Yeah.
So no, I think
critics wise and user wise, it's above a lot of Star Wars movies, though.
Yeah, no, it is. But I mean, again, it's like one of those things where it's like,
put your money where your mouth is.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
Because at the end of the day, Disney does not care, if the movie has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes or not. They don't care whether or not.
Yeah.
It's
how much money
rated high on IMDb by the fans.
Right.
It's how much money does it actually recoup the cost? Because I mean, obviously these movies are pretty freaking expensive to make here.
Yeah, no kidding. Yep. Well, let's move on to something else besides some Solo news, since that'll probably not happen.
Probably not. No.
Something else I don't really care about. Labyrinth 2.
Yeah, Labyrinth 2 is happening whether you ask for it or not, apparently. It's going to be helmed
that's the movie with David Bowie, right?
Yeah, David Bowie. It's
that's all I know it from the cover. I never saw it.
David Bowie's got like that weird haircut. I don't even know what you call that. He's got like ridiculous outfits, and he's like hanging out with puppets and stuff like that.
Yeah, Tim Seabrecht kind of movie.
Well, Tim Seabrecht actually does not like this movie here.
Oh, here that should tell you something about it.
Yeah. So, so Doctor Strange, director Scott Derrickson will direct it, and it will collab with the Jim Henson Company like it did in the original. My reaction to this is why? Like,
maybe they heard Space Jam 2 was getting made.
Yeah, something like, oh yeah, we want to get on that train, but no, it's like, as far as I knew, the thing that people liked about that movie, because I've never actually seen it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But the thing that I heard that people liked was David Bowie. You can't have David Bowie anymore here.
No.
So how do you go about that? And why would you just make this movie that is honestly just like only has like a cult following, and it's not like, I don't know, like something like making a new Terminator movie or a new Predator movie or something like that, because I mean I can see the logic and the reasoning behind doing that,
right?
Versus like something that barely made any money when it came out here,
Right.
So
yeah, I have nothing to say about Labyrinth 2, but it kind of reminded me of something I saw I think it was last week or the week before, I can't remember. We were talking about Space Jam 2.
Yeah.
And apparently it was leaked that Jim Carrey's The Mask was having a cameo in that movie.
What, in Space Jam 2?
Yeah.
Wait, okay, so his actual character from The Mask.
Correct. The Mask. Like him in The Mask.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean, okay, it's like, I guess because like The Mask is a pretty like cartoony character. He fit right at home with like the Looney Tune crowd and all that, I guess. But that still doesn't make any sense though.
Maybe they're trying to set up a Mask return.
Oh gosh. Yeah, because Son of the Mask was like
I never saw that. That wasn't with Jim Carrey either.
Right, but that's another notoriously bad movie, basically.
Yeah. The original Mask was good.
Yeah, original Mask was great, yeah.
It was pretty much just Jim Carrey with a green face being Jim Carrey.
Yeah, and that's what you want, is you want Jim Carrey to be Jim Carrey.
Totally.
So,
all right, well, let's keep it real. Talking about Christopher Nolan keeping it real.
Yeah.
For the 10/10 movie trailer.
The Tennant.
Yep. So this came out because he likes a mixture of practical effects. You've seen him do other stuff in other movies.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they blew up like in The Dark Knight Rises. They had that body of the plane. They dropped it basically.
Yep, they did. In The Dark Knight, they blew up, like they made like a building, blew it up for the hospital.
For the Joker scene.
Yeah, for the Joker scene.
And where he's walking away in the nurse's outfit.
And in Inception, like they literally made a hallway
that moves
on like these NASA space rings or whatever, these big metal rings, put the hallway in the middle of that and had it rotate.
Yeah.
And just did that. So, I mean, the guy is all about like, making his movies as realistic as he possibly can without using like any, trickery or like CGI or anything of that sort here.
So they blew up an actual 747 plane during the filmmaking of Tenet.
Yeah. Instead of doing CGI.
Right.
But
I like the reasoning for it.
Yes.
It's cost effective.
Which is insane to me. Like
how is CGI that expensive?
I don't know. It's like, well, because he goes on to say like the reason why he's explaining, because you can see this scene like at the end of the second Tenet trailer
the
here.
The newest one.
Right, yeah. And so basically he told the guy that was interviewing him that they were originally going to do like miniatures and like some combination of miniatures, set pieces, and CGI to make this scene happen.
Yeah.
But they ran the numbers and basically landed on it'd be more efficient to like just have an airplane run it into a building and blow it up here. How does that work?
I don't know, man.
Because
There's probably not a huge market for decommissioned 747 planes.
Right, yeah.
I mean, they probably tear them down and use them for scrap or repurpose some parts and stuff.
Well, he was saying that that like I guess someplace in California just has like a whole like hangar bay full of like old decommissioned planes, and he just impulse bought a plane for his movie, which I'm like, okay,
that's fine. Yeah.
I
mean, we've seen, companies throw money around pretty frivolously.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
30 mil for Justice League. Come on.
Yeah. No, but so this guy, he's insane.
Yeah.
But he's a genius.
He is.
I mean, and I have a working theory that Christopher Nolan hates airplanes because
he probably does.
He destroyed one in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yep.
With the beginning scene with Bane and all that here. He also destroyed an actual World War II plane in Dunkirk, and now the latest one is going to be in the Tennant here. So
yeah, I just say he's a baller. Way to be frugal, Nolan.
Yeah. So, but one thing we kind of skipped over, Bourne might be coming back.
Oh yeah. Born again.
Maybe. Yeah.
Not that kind of born again. Not a born again Christian, but I don't know, maybe. But no, so Bourne coming back again. Okay, so this is literally right after we finished our conversation on Bourne in our Thursday throwbacks.
So yeah, maybe the producer listens to the show.
Probably not.
Nah.
Yeah. So the producer Frank Marshall, he produced all the Bourne movies. Apparently, he wants to restart the franchise. Which is he wants a soft reboot, which they've already tried that
twice.
Didn't work. He wants a new creative team, and there's no word if Matt Damon's interested in coming back. He's not going to come back after Jason Bourne failed. I don't know. Honestly, I think they should probably just not do it.
Yeah, I mean, no, like we mentioned, I think this is a bad idea. And if you listen to our Thursday throwbacks on the Jason Bourne, trilogy, because that's all I'm going to consider it as.
Right.
They already tried to reboot this franchise twice. One time with Jeremy Renner, and then another time by bringing back Matt Damon as Jason Bourne, and it's supposed to be a follow-up to Ultimatum here. Neither one of those really worked here. So I think best way they could, take the Jason Bourne saga storyline or whatever you want to call it here is they make it a TV show, and they call it Treadstone. Basically, introduce new characters, show how Treadstone came to be, give us dope action scenes, call it a day. I mean, I'm not an accomplished writer or anything, but that seems like seems like maybe the best way to go about restarting this franchise, so to speak.
Yeah, I think you have to, because I believe Jason Bourne was the first recruited to Treadstone.
I think he was one of the first, but I mean,
it could be a political thriller about, how they got basically the ability to do this.
Yeah.
It could also be cool if it's set more in the future and they bring something like Treadstone back.
Right, yeah.
And Jason's maybe in a different role, or I don't know.
Yeah, you might get like a Matt Damon cameo, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe like.
But essentially that's supposed to be what Jeremy Renner was doing. But they had like some pills and stuff in it. I remember where they were like got super abilities.
Well, and then Edward Norton was like the villain or something.
Yeah, it was really odd.
But no, I mean, I think if you focus like on hey, like all the Treadstone agents that we kind of got a glimpse of in like Identity and like even a little bit in Supremacy and all that, I think that could be interesting. And like you could see like, kind of like what more of like what Treadstone is and what it does on a day-to-day operation basis and all that versus like, just trying to kill Jason Bourne all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be good. I think that's the only way that would probably work too. Let's see. For those of you, so we're going to talk about some video games that are being adapted in a TV series potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
So we got My Friend Pedro.
Yeah. So, which we've recommended on this show before, if you own a Switch, or I don't know what's all on. I think it might be on PS4 now, but if you're looking for like a good 2D action shooter game that you can slow down time, I mean, this is your jam.
Yeah.
But yeah. So My Friend Pedro. Basically long story short, it's about a guy who gets who wakes up like in a warehouse or like a mafia warehouse or something like that, and there's a talking floating banana that guides you through this warehouse and like through a bunch of different like scenarios, and basically he teaches you how to slow down time.
Yep.
And it's kind of like, I'd say like the highway scene from like the first Deadpool movie mixed in with John Wick. That's kind of like what I would describe the action to be in this game. And it's really zany, over the top. Like there's one point where you get like a skateboard and you have a shotgun and you're skateboarding around, shotgunning people and stuff.
Okay.
But the reason why we're talking about this is the creator of the John Wick movies, Derek Kolstad. He said that he is interested in making an adaptation for TV for My Friend Pedro.
Yeah.
And he said it's on his pitch list. Like he's actually serious about making it. And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be fun to do, but I don't think I'll ever do it or something like that. But honestly, if this was to happen, I think this is the guy to do it, because I mean, John Wick is definitely has is I think like pretty similar to like My Friend Pedro in terms of like just being these big action scenes and all that. And I mean, if it's like a wacky, stylistic, over the top John Wick, I might be interested in that here. I mean,
sure.
Who knows if like everybody else will be, but yeah.
Yeah. Will this work? Probably not, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens here.
All right. So in other video games turning into TV shows, Kingdom Hearts on Disney Plus.
So which is like, I guess it's like almost but just confirmed that this is actually happening, but we're treating it as rumor and speculation for right now. But this news is coming from IGN, and they are, for now addressing it as rumor.
Yeah.
But Disney was rumored to be making a show themselves for Disney Plus. But now I guess they're getting caught up in different projects, so they're going to be handing off the reins to Square Enix here.
That's an interesting move.
It is, yeah.
Being like, I understand the opposite because Disney's such a established company.
Well, it's also like one that really like guards.
They don't let people use their characters.
Typically. I mean, they did do it for Kingdom Hearts here, and that's like,
well, yeah.
But I mean, they definitely like give them like restrictions on like what they can do with their characters in Kingdom Hearts here.
Totally.
Yeah. But
for a TV series, I think it's a little different.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And well, especially considering how, here's the thing, Kingdom Hearts is I think it's a very like it's not like something that appeals to like just like, like just every Disney fan per se. I think this is something that you have to be both a fan of, like probably like the anime side of things and also the Disney side of things. And not to mention, like, I've never played any of these games, but it's been labeled as the most convoluted, confusing storyline in video game history here. And so it's kind of surprising that they want to make a show about this, unless like they're really going to like dumb down a lot of things for like the casual audience.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I didn't pay that close attention to the storyline. Yeah, I just wanted to fight with Aladdin on my team and mess people up.
Yeah, which I mean, hey,
if that's all the show is, cool.
Yeah.
If Aladdin shows up to fight with Sora and Donald and Goofy.
Yeah, like home run.
Yeah, I mean, they every episode could be just them teaming up with a different character.
Oh yeah, just going to like the different like Disney worlds or whatever here, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, no, I could see that like having an appeal, but it's like if they get into like all the like convoluted storyline stuff, I mean, like maybe Kingdom Hearts fans, like the diehard guys, might really tune in. But I think for like a platform like Disney Plus that is kind of supposed to just be appealing to like, mostly kids, families, you typically want to keep your content pretty simple and straightforward here.
Yeah. Yeah, I really feel like this could probably be a hit for them. Unfortunately, after Kingdom Hearts 3, I don't think they'll do a good job with it.
Probably not.
But we'll see.
We will see.
Well, that's it for our nerd news. We're going to head into our roundtable review. Why? Because we actually have something to review this week.
Yeah, and it's not Clone Wars.
And it's not Clone Wars.
But it does deal with space, so, that's the next best thing.
All right, Dorian, what do we got?
So, Space Force came out. New Netflix comedy starring Steve Carell and also created by Steve Carell and Greg Daniels, both of which, Office fame. So, first impressions so far, just for me, I've only watched about 2 episodes, maybe 2.5 episodes. And I gotta say, as far as I can tell right now, the writing is not as clever as in The Office. I would say nowhere near as clever for the most part. At least it doesn't have that rapid fire consistency, like where every couple of minutes there will be something like, okay, actually genuinely funny going on here.
Right.
I think there are some good character dynamics. I like Steve Carell's characters. It's just fun seeing Steve Carell as a grizzled military general here and all that. I think he's it's kind of funny doing that. He's kind of also a science denier. Like he's never listening to his science team, which is also leads to some pretty funny moments. And Ben Schwartz's character, I think it's pretty funny. There's also like a essentially like a pretty obvious Russian spy that's working with him. That's also dating his daughter at the same time. And all that. So, I mean, you got some pretty good character dynamics. I feel like there's like a lot of pieces in there that could make this show good. I just don't think that they're there yet, or they haven't really executed it properly. And just so that everybody is kind of aware, if you're expecting this to be like, other along the lines of like other Greg Daniel projects like Parks and Rec and The Office, this isn't it. This is like completely different brand of humor, brand of comedy, all that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Greg Daniels is essentially the godfather of comedy for this generation. Like,
probably, yeah.
Someone who worked on The Simpsons, someone who, King of the Hill, and then you got Office, Parks and Rec. Like, all those series were bangers for their times, Simpsons are still around.
Yeah, which just still blows my mind.
Yeah.
They're like 30 seasons now?
Dude, I don't even
something
know.
ridiculous like that.
But anyway, like, this guy created 2 of my favorite shows,
Yeah.
And so I watched episode 1. I think there's 9 more. There's 10 total, I think.
Yeah, I think 10 total, yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but I know first impressions for me, I think it has potential. It has a few kind of flashy moments of comedy.
Yeah.
But it's not a comedy at its heart. I feel like this is more of a drama, like a dramedy, like a drama that has comedy in it.
Yeah.
Now the situations, like, there's a we're not going to go into super deep spoilers or anything like that, but basically, there's situations you're put into where you're just like you said, this is a completely different form of comedy than we're used to. Now, does it incorporate some of that quick humored comedy that Parks and Rec and The Office have? Yeah, absolutely. But it's minimal. It's very quick, and it's not a continuing joke. Now there are a couple continuing jokes in this, but it more has to do with Steve's character. It's not necessarily I don't know. Obviously it's only episode 1.
Yeah.
That I've watched. I don't know if it gets better. We'll probably have more information for you because I'm guessing over this next week we'll probably finish the season and maybe do a review on that.
Yeah.
But I think right now, like if I had to rate it out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it like 2.5 to 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just have expected different things. Like,
well, I
think when you hear Steve Carell and Greg Daniels, you go, this show better be hilarious.
Well, that's the thing is like they've struck gold together before here. You kind of expect
Greg Daniels has struck gold his whole career almost.
Right. But I'm just saying like that combination before has struck gold with The Office here.
Maybe their time's run out. Like,
yeah. It's like when you are like, like you mentioned, striking gold your whole career, you expect like, okay, yeah, give me the next thing here,
Right. And this was a no-brainer for Netflix, I feel like.
Yeah. And one thing I do want to kind of get into is like, as far as I can tell for right now, it's like, I feel like this this show did not have to like, go with like the TVMA rating that it got. I think you could have totally got away with like, like the PG-13 crowd or audience, and you probably would have been able to draw more people in here. But
because there's not a whole lot of cursing other than there's like 2 or 3 F words, I think.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of cursing, but I mean, I felt like, okay, so like, why was this like even rated TVMA? I could have felt like you could have like just either bleeped it, or you could have even like done it, because I don't really think it really adds anything to it here. It's like, if you're gonna do it, like make it like actually add something to like what you're actually trying to accomplish here.
Right.
But
yeah, I don't know, man. I think that
it could be more of a Netflix thing than like a Greg Daniels and Carell thing, maybe, because I mean Netflix pretty much like 90% of their originals are like TVMA for the most part.
I think it's just I don't think it. Well, like there's a lot of stuff on like Gotham's TVMA on Netflix.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Don't know why. It's TVMA because there's blood and gore, is what they say.
Okay.
Because me and my wife started actually watching that.
Okay.
Because there's nothing to watch right now. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really hoping it turns it around.
Yeah.
I think there's too much talent on this show for it to fail. And if it does, then holy moly.
Yeah.
We're screwed as a country when it comes for comedy. Because you got literally, okay, let's go over the cast real quick. You got Steve Carell.
Ben Schwartz.
You got Ben Schwartz, a.k.a. John Ralphio, a.k.a. Sonic, a.k.a.
the greatest human that ever lived.
Pretty much. Yeah, you have John Malkovich.
Yeah.
You have, what's his name? That plays his dad.
Oh, I don't know.
Is it Fred? No, it's, I don't know. He's like in a ton of comedies.
Okay.
Anyway, then you have Jimmy O Yang, who's a stand-up comedian who plays the scientist.
Okay, yeah.
And then all the generals and admirals of like the different
branches.
They're all like huge comedians.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's the thing is like, this could just be like, something that is like, a good idea, just executed poorly here. And I mean,
I hope they get a season 2 just so they can learn
like,
from season 1.
Well, I mean,
because look at most season 1s for shows.
Yeah,
they're not great.
Yeah, I mean, no, Parks and Rec, like I would definitely say is like a prime example of that. Like
even The Office.
Well, I actually did like the first season of The Office. It was super short, but I actually thought like the episodes that they had were actually pretty good. But like Parks and Rec, like I remember like saying like, okay, like I don't know if I really want to like actually get into this show just because like these episodes, they're not really that funny or that great. And it's not until like maybe around like the middle of season 2 that show starts picking up. But
yeah,
and it became one of my favorite shows. So who knows? That could be the situation with it. I mean, sometimes, yeah, shows just need to kind of get an idea, get their footing a little bit better. But it's like, it's just odd to me that, you have people who, yeah, like a lot of talent. You have people who, for the most part, know what they're doing.
Yeah. So
it's kind of odd that they wouldn't be like, hitting it off right out the gate here.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess.
I guess we will.
Well, I guess that's it for our podcast this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. We have some news, I guess, as far as our Thursday throwback.
Yep. It's going to be a little bit of a project.
It's going to be a project, so I'm not saying it's going to come out this week because honestly I don't know. But we're going to be going over the first season of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which has been pretty fun for me.
Yeah.
So be looking for that in the near future. And just have an awesome week, and remember, everyone's a nerd about something.